Shalom. Just looking at a few videos here from Elder Brother Malcolm and also Brother Yehoiada, but we're all saying the same thing and we're seeing the same thing. America, Babylon the Great, is on its last leg and it ain't going to win. It cannot win. It's bound to lose. You see, that's the way the Most High has it set up. Shalom. First and foremost, I'd like to give all praise to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Rekakadash. Double honor to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone, who are teachers of truth and sincerity. And shout out to Yakims out there in the four quarters of the earth proclaiming this truth. Raka the Yahweh, Raka the Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Rekakadash, Rakatum. So, hey man, the Spirit is speaking, and it's speaking through we the prophets.
Shalom. Call the Lord Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Rekakadash. Double honors unto the apostles, double honors unto the elder bishops. Salutations to all my fellow laborers doing this work in truth and sincerity, risking their lives and their freedom to do so. Now more so than ever, the would-be judges, the 144,000, the tabernacle of David, ordained to be the ruling class people here on earth over all other nations, all other races, all other governments. Right? Ordained by who the world falsely and fraudulently calls JC. His name is Yahweh Shai. And to the rest of the scattered elect that are scattered around the four corners of the earth, among the heathen nations, that have the appearance of the heathen nations. This is not a black-only thing or color thing at all, but an Israelite thing. All right? And it is factual truth, like it or not, that the Israelites today, in reality, primarily make up the Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. But there are our people that are scattered among the other people. And to the few Aquas, meaning the sisters that are listening and learning to you, I say Shalom. This is your brother Malcolm from the branch of the Great Millstone here in Chicago, coming at you with another lesson in truth. And I watched the video. And the information in this video was very important because there was a lot of things, a lot of scriptures that one can get from this video. I watched the whole video. I actually played it while I was training one of my clients, and I could see how attentively she was listening to it, and she could help but agree with me on every point that I made as we listened to it. And one thing that it shares with you in this video is that America is in no way at all prepared for a modern war. That's not on the American front. When Colonel McGregor, I'm going to play the video, but when Colonel McGregor was asked by Judge Napolitano, when he was asked, can America even defend or fight a war in Eurasia, in Europe, or in Africa? And the Colonel told him, no, America can defend the West. That's it. Because this war that America just lost, trying to spin a narrative that they didn't lose it, and America lost to Iran. All right? And Iran is dictating what's happening in the Strait of Hormuz. Basically, not one Edomite government on the face of the earth has any say-so on what's happening in the Straits of Hormuz. The other heathen nations are, okay? Primarily, at this point, Elam, all right? And he's dealing with Ishmael, and he's dealing with, the other nations. The only ships that are allowed through the Straits of Hormuz are ones who are in league or at peace with Iran right now. So, let me read the scripture. And then play this video, and I'm going to play approximately 7 minutes and 10 seconds, and I may interject here and there to mention or read the scripture, okay? But the first scripture that I'm going to read before I start playing this video is I got this in reverse. The phone that I'm usually recording with is the one that I'm holding, so things are a little different. So Salakia, here we go. So the first scripture is going to be Luke 12:2, and it simply reads, "For there is nothing covered that shall not be revealed, neither hid that shall not be known." So all things that are hidden are being revealed, and everything that's been hidden is now being made known. Okay, so we're gonna let the tongues of these people fall upon themselves. And now, after closer, I heard Apostle Tahar say something, and then I started really, paying attention to Colonel McGregor, and I think I am forced to agree with Elder Apostle Tahar that Colonel McGregor, that dude is probably a Jake, man, and definitely Judge Napolitano. So basically, more than likely, these are two scattered Israelites that have no clue that they're Israelites that are speaking about the end of Babylon and the end days. So here we go. Let me pull up this video. And here we go.
This is what happens to a 4-year-old.
So, pardon the commercial.
With a DHT blocking.
Okay.
Colonel Douglas McGregor joins us now. Colonel, pleasure. Thank you for accommodating.
my schedule. I've been asking this question all week, and there doesn't seem to be a consensus on the answer. Is the Strait of Hormuz open, or is it only open to those who are approved by the Iranians?
I think the latter. I think the Iranians are still controlling it effectively, and it looks like a great deal of their oil has been allowed to leave and head for China. How much of everybody else's, it's hard to tell, but keep in mind there's something else that continues to plague the...
So they're controlling the oil flow, and the countries that they want oil to get to in Asia, in Western Asia or Eastern Asia, it's getting there. America and its allies are getting the oil through this area.
The Strait of Hormuz, and that is the insurance companies, are not happy with the situation. They don't buy into this notion that the war is over and the problems have been solved. So I think we have to take that into consideration as well.
Our friend Larry Johnson.
Basically, the mainstream media here in America trying to control the narrative, and it's failing miserably.
There's a piece out this morning making a similar argument and concluding that this will keep the price of oil high until the insurance companies are satisfied. I don't know what it's going to take to satisfy them. Colonel, apparently a non-Iranian ship, unapproved, that tried to get through was attacked yesterday by the Revolutionary Guard.
There's evidence right there.
God only knows if that had insurance.
Well, first I think we have to ask who this Revolutionary Guard is that was resurrected from the dead. After all, we said that we sank their Navy and destroyed their Air Force and defeated them militarily, so how could they do anything? So that's the first question. Second part, obviously being facetious, but
right.
I think we're in for a long haul here. People are saying, oh, well, look, the price of oil is still not rising as fast as we thought. In fact, it's falling. Things are getting better. I think Wall Street is delusional.
Yep, they
And it's going to
delusion.
take another 2 or 3 weeks for the impact of this entire mess to really strike home here and around the world. Because let's assume you get 1,000.
So basically, what you're about to see and experience are extremely high prices. Not only is gas about to go up, but the prices for goods and services
Yep,
are about to increase
hyperinflation.
tremendously. And they were warned that
Hyper.
would happen shortly after, after the 4th. So, do not be shocked if your tickets for airplanes, trains, and gasoline all climb exponentially. And as a result of that, the price of goods and services will also do the same.
Let's assume you get 1,000 ships through the strait over the next several weeks. They'll take whatever they've got someplace, dump it, and then they've got to come back and refill. How long does this take? How long do you wait? How many people in the meantime don't have what they need, whether it's fertilizer, nitrogen, all the various petroleum products? So I think it's...
So farmers across the board are struggling. And then, you see all the videos of Edomite women lamenting about how they feel like failures with all their degrees and blah, blah, blah. And they can't pay their bills, and them and their spouses work.
Yep, where?
That's the sign of the times.
a long way from out of the woods, let's put it that way.
Is the U.S. Navy still? I mean, it was some distance away, sort of going through what some of our guests have characterized as just a performative blockade because it was so far away. Is it still there? Do we know?
Well, I know that the Navy hasn't announced departure. So
what they were saying is that we deployed our Navy to make it look like we were doing something, but our Navy was so far away, it wouldn't even be effective combatively, So America is completely and totally defeated, all right? And they're going to get pulled into this thing by those who wear the small hats. And it's really nothing.
Have some of the ships left and gone somewhere else to reprovision or change crews or are new vessels on the way. All of that could be possible. But I think the key point is the one that you just made, Judge. And it's the thing that nobody really wants to talk about. This is part of the problem we've got with change in military affairs and technology. If you can't get within 100, 200, 300, 400 miles of the coastline as a Navy, then what's your effect on things?
Exactly.
You're not going to have the desired impact. So I think that's part of...
Because if our Navy gets any closer than that, our ships will be sunk. So they're not getting any closer to that. And Iran proved that they have their capability already.
What we've discovered the hard way in fighting Iran, we've been defeated because they have the capability to essentially make themselves invulnerable to us for all intents and purposes.
Was there ever, as far as determined, Colonel, a serious plan to enter Iran, seize the enriched uranium, decapitate the government, and replace it with the Shah's son or whatever they were going to use?
Well, I think you could argue that the first part, the decapitation attempt, was real. We have adopted this Israeli notion that you can assassinate your way to regime change or even victory in war. That, of course, has not worked. And the attempts to decapitate the Iranian regime have failed miserably. But that was definitely tried.
So when they eliminated the supreme leader, all they did was made matters worse because now they get resistance from Iran that they didn't get before, and they were attacked by Iran in ways that they weren't attacked before. Okay, and it also revealed that America really didn't have applicable responses to that.
And that was part of the initial plan. Now, as far as the rest of it is concerned, remember we had this event down in the vicinity of Isfahan, and the supposed pilot rescue went on and so forth. That was a serious attempt
So he's telling you that that whole pilot rescue thing was an attempt to see what they were up against, and they realized that there was absolutely nothing they could do. That's what that was all about. That was a really a recon effort. You know, it wasn't some accident. It was a recon effort. They were trying to measure out what they needed to do in order to possibly win a war, and realized that they couldn't.
In my judgment, from the special operations side, to do what you described, to move into an area where we thought there would be uranium that could be recovered. We discovered it's not going to work. Once again, you have air defenses, you have local militia, police, and military. The country's well defended. Everybody knew what was going on. They showed up in time to stop it. Frankly, we're lucky that we got away with this, losing as little as we did. So I think the idea of penetrating Iranian airspace with any kind of substantial special operations force has been pretty much tossed away.
Yep.
Is the United States a land power?
It is in the Western Hemisphere, but it isn't in the Middle East. It certainly isn't in Europe. And remember, back during the...
Okay, America is no longer a land power anywhere in the Middle East, neither in Europe, only here in the West, which means that America is no longer the most powerful military. They can't fight a war.
They're outnumbered
outside of America with the modern techniques and with Russia's Russia and China's far advanced missile system, far more advanced than America's. Because remember, in the 80s and 90s, when America was partying all the time, having a good old time, and those Russians were eating rice and beans, and every penny they got went to their missile defense system. And that's why it's already been said by the experts that the Russian missile system is about 40 years advanced over America's. And they have the Satan 1 and the Satan 2. And America, nor any of the European allies that America has left, has any capability to stop that missile system of Satan 1 and Satan 2. They don't have it.
72 smaller bombs into a big bomb.
In Europe. And remember, back during the Cold War, one of the reasons we made a force on the ground in Germany of 275,000 troops was that we realized we couldn't bring that many forces into a crisis early. In other words, once the crisis began, you had too many Soviet submarines cruising the Atlantic that would prevent any reinforcement. So you bet heavily that this force in place ahead of time would be helpful. What we've now discovered is that if you put something like that forward today in Germany, in the first hour of any future conflict, the missiles will penetrate whatever air defenses you've got and utterly destroy the force on the ground. So the whole idea.
So he just admitted that if America was to penetrate into Europe, into Germany, right, that, you know, as they did in the past, that they would be annihilated and all the support system and the troops would be destroyed. And that's because of the differences in the way battles are fought now, all right, with this missile and drone technology. This has changed everything, all right, and it's changed it not for the better, for the American government. I won't say the American people, but for the powers that be that are controlling, within the government.
The idea of picking up and moving hundreds of thousands of troops to another theater beyond the Western Hemisphere, I think it's a dead issue. It's the same thing with amphibious operations. If you think you're going to mount another Normandy invasion again, whatever you concentrate in England would be identified quickly and then annihilated with missiles. And if you tried to cross the channel, everybody would be hit midstream and you'd lose all the vessels. Eisenhower forecast this in the 1950s. He told people this. It's one of the reasons he said this whole idea of NATO doesn't make a great deal of sense. And if it's still around in 10 years, we failed. His point was, militarily, this is not going to work. He was right. It doesn't. That era is over. That's why the whole idea of going back into the Gulf now is silly. It's been demonstrated we can't protect any of those bases. So now we should spend billions of dollars.
These billions of dollars that they spent on those bases that the Iranians destroyed. Got to remember, Iran destroyed our American allied bases and bases that they had set up in allied countries in the Gulf. They destroyed them. All right, hundreds of billions of dollars of bases and equipment. And America, the colonel just admitted that America can't defend those bases. So once that's telling you what you're listening to is so powerful and goes over, it's probably going to go over the head of most people. But what they're telling you is that they don't have a foothold in that part of the world anymore. Neither can they control. It was all an illusion. It was smoke and mirrors. It's crazy that I'm actually sitting in Oz Park. All right, and like the Wizard of Oz. All right, they got all the characters of Oz here. Well, the main four. The Scarecrow, the Lion, the Tin Man, and Dorothy. All right, I'm sitting in Oz Park. And what happened in Oz? The wizard was revealed to lack and not have real power. And this is basically because I can place, but I'm gonna stop it right there and just get some scriptures. All right, but that's basically what you just heard. And then he goes on to talk about how Trump didn't want this war. He definitely didn't want it 5 years ago, and that he can't do anything because he's compromised by B.B. Milkowski, and that's more than evident because the judge asked him if he thinks Trump is compromised. He says absolutely, and it's beyond obvious. And he also mentioned the fact that Bibi needs his war to keep going to stay out of the courts because Bibi's freedom is on the line if these wars stop. He actually could face prison time, in his own country by his own people because he's not really well liked. He's kind of ruling with the iron thumb right now. Okay.
Yep, and like everything else, so that's what's going to drag Babylon the Great into this war, and that's of course Elder Brother Malcolm But this place is vexing, as the brother Yehoiada put it. We'll play the rest of this anyways.
Okay? But he's a man in trouble on the run, and the way that he stays out of trouble is by perpetually keeping these wars, which fulfills the scripture of the least of the flock shall draw them out.
Yep,
Right,
there it
let's
is. Right there. Precisely. America can't get out of it. Pandora's box is open. Trump is through.
This is Jeremiah 50 and 45. Therefore,
So's baby.
he, the counsel of Yahweh, that he have taken against Babylon, and his purpose, that he have purpose against the land of the Chaldeans, surely the least of the flock shall draw them out.
Yep.
Surely he shall make their habitations desolate with them. All right? So they're going to be made desolate together. Because, the wearers of the smaller hats are going to draw America into something that they can't get out of. It's like how
Mostly
the guy
Bibi and Trump,
was
right
formerly in a
there.
gang or lived on a block. And or he just lives on the block where his particular set hangs out, and he don't even vibe with them. But when the ops roll through looking for them, they attack him simply because he lives around them. In their minds or in their psyche, you're not with us, you're with them. And the truth of the matter is, the guy may be totally not with these dudes. He just happened to unfortunately live on the same block, on the same hood as them, and he don't like them no more than you do. All right, and that happens a lot, and that is basically what's about to happen here because the average American is not feeling the ish, they're not feeling Israel.
Nope, they're fucking tired of these Israelis.
More, I would say more than half of America is against this. But that has nothing to do with anything. It's just like now you got all these Edomites that want to scream that well they never did this and they never did that. What they don't understand is that the Lord punishes whole nations. All right, that's just the way he operates.
And Amalek's just a part of
He just
Edom.
did specific members. All right, and that's just the way it is. And now the other nations. Let me grab this. They're angry, and that's Isaiah 14 and 10, I believe, 14 and 10. And it reads, and they shall speak and say unto thee, art thou also become as weak as we? Art thou become like unto us? So now these nations have missile technology and are joining together. And believe me, if I know that America is not capable of mounting a war on a foreign land, and every time they do it in recent times, they've lost. Even when they do a lot of damage. They went over there in Afghanistan and did all that for 20-some years in Afghanistan. The things that they were fighting are still there. And this resurrected, or whatever they call the Iranian Guard, or Iraqi Guard, whatever they call them. All these things are back now and out of control. They can't control them. They don't have the means or the way to stop anything. All right?
But Trump's going to paint you a different picture with his 4th of July speech in this next video, and it's hilarious the things that Trump is saying. Actually, that's a couple more from here, but either way, though, Trump was saying on the 4th of July that America's invincible pretty much, and that it's back again, and we're more proud than ever. And that's the downfall of Esau Edom. In his pride, he will be destroyed by the Most High.
So it's all going to come crashing to a head. So, if all hell was to break loose this summer, I believe it is.
Yeah.
Right? But and even if it doesn't, it won't be far along. Right?
Yep.
So time
Put
is
on your
short.
seatbelt.
So, get your mind right, get your house right, and pray continually without stop. All right? So with that, I want to give all praises, all honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahushai, Bahasham, Rekahak, Wadash, Kwam, Yasarala, Abba, Babal.
So don't take too many breaks, man. Be always occupied in prophecy, because that's going to be the stability of our time. You know that this being able to look at other brothers' videos, share videos, and make videos is going to be taken away from us very soon. But having this knowledge ultimately is what's going to make it through the famine of the word. Being able to retain this knowledge is our stability that others don't have, because they're going to be looking for us, and we ain't even there anymore. It's not that we don't want to teach, it's just that, okay, our job is done. If you didn't catch on to it, and you didn't repent, and you didn't get there, well, that's on you, because we were out there, day in, day out. We were diligent in putting videos up every day. But here we go. This place is vexing, as Brother Yehoiada put up.
Shalom, shalom. First and foremost, I'd like to give all praise and glory to my power, Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai, Bahashem, Wahab, Rekahadash. Honors be to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. And may like elders that's pushing this world without truth and sincerity. Alright, here 2026, another step closer to the kingdom of heaven, which we pray and hope as always that the Most High Yahweh, while Yahushai bring all these prophets to pass. In the time that we're living in, alright, especially these times, it look like a chariot over there, called like Abba Shema Shai. Right? But as you brothers, and you're so sick tired of this lesson, which reads, this place is vexing. Alright? And I was just sitting upon my bed, and I was meditating on the scriptures, meditating on things that's going on
right, in Babylon the Great. And this place is truly vexing, man. You know, this place is truly vexing, right? You got these people out here, you know, celebrating these pagan holidays, you know,
As if this is
just
going to
having
be
a
around
conversation with these people.
forever.
You know, it's totally off. These people are probate mindset, you know. And this place is truly vexing, man. Like the scripture says, it's vexing, right, to the spirit. Because we understand that these people are lost. You know, these people are lost, majority of our people, you know, to be exact.
Soul swimming in a fishbowl,
truly lost,
year
truly destroyed.
after year,
As the Lord said that you are.
running on the same old
Because
ground.
they lack knowledge. Hey, truly our people are destroyed, man. You know,
Yep.
because they walking up the cares of this world, America, Babylon. You know, they're indulging in all these wicked holidays and festivities, right? And sometimes they can get vexing, you know, which it is vexing. Sometimes, you know, they can make you angry and upset because you really want Jake to snap out of it, man.
Yeah.
You know, but we know, according to the Holy Scriptures, that
I just spend time with my dogs to get away from these fucking
they're gonna be
people.
right here in Babylon the Great, man. You know, but this place, they get under your skin, man, and it should, especially if you're a brother, you know, or a believer or a sister that believe in the truth and seeking for righteousness. Hey, this place is gonna get under your skin because they nothing but wickedness and abominations, you know, manner of evil.
And I can't stand being around anybody outside of this truth,
You know.
to be honest.
See, people don't have a clue.
So I hang
What
around
the Father's about to
dogs.
bring on earth, but as soon it's gonna kick in, and you're gonna know, hey, this is judgment from the Lord, man. It's a true judgment from the Heavenly Father. When the Lord rained down on this place with thermonuclear missiles, but before then, the Lord's gonna have nothing but calamities, right? The time of judgment, and all this is gonna play out here in America, Babylon the Great, man. You know, very soon, man. And that's gonna be the reward of the wicked. You know, and we're looking forward to see the downfall of this place in America. You know, truly is, man. Truly ready to see the downfall of these wicked individuals, these proud Americans, right? America just celebrated so-called 250 years. And this shit ain't got too much longer, man. The Lord's about to judge the great whore. Just as you hear the firecrackers and stuff ringing out, well, the ultimate firecracker is coming, which is the thermonuclear missiles. Rightfully so, man. Hey, it's time. It's time for this great whore to be judged, man. You know, but we just got to continue to stay spiritual. As this place get wax old and worse, we just continue to stay spiritual, right? To our best ability, continue to call on the names of the Yahweh Shai with truth and sincerity.
And that's just it, though. Having the names and holding on to the names. So like everything else, though, this place is vexing, and it's only going to get worse. That is for the wicked. But for us, though, in this truth, man, we have a guarantee that pretty much we're going to be kept from that hour of temptation, which is when they shall usher in the MOTB by way all the things that you see happening, the crash of the economy, to bring it in, to usher it in. China condemns U.S. coercion against Cuba, right? You know, because like everything else, though, you know, they're trying to force Cuba into a peaceful transition. You know, not like Syria or anything else, but just pretty much, you know, to agree with everything that Donald Trump demands and just basically, you know, giving him a blowjob. You know, which seems to be that, oh yeah, I'm ready to talk to Donald Trump. Hey, you ain't in your right mind, man, because you should hate him. You should hate him and wish that he was dead. But guess what, though? Most High is going to stir up the Medes and the Persians to come against him, right? You know, and you got all the other players involved because China is definitely an ally of the Medes. And guess what? They're an ally of the Persians. DC's sanctions have caused profound suffering to the Cuban people, Beijing has said. Cuba has urged the U.S. to end its decades-long blockade and sanctions against Cuba, condemning DC's coercion and pressure. Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesman made the remarks on Monday when asked about Cuba's request for a special session of the UN General Assembly to discuss the U.S. embargo. The request following Cuban President Miguel Canal's warning that the sanctions have pushed the island into an unsustainable situation and amount to genocide. So like everything else, though, U.S. President Trump has since repeatedly stated that he intends to take Cuba one way or another. So that's what it's about, you know, to pretty much fortify what he thinks he has. You know, because he still thinks he has a dick. But like everything else, though, they fucking cut off his dick and his balls, and they're showing, man. He has no dick and balls, man. They fucking cut it off. They blew up all their fucking bases. I was going into a camp yesterday. They blew up all their fucking bases and no problems because they have Russian intelligence and guidance, and they're a lot stronger. These people over there in Persia, they know how to fight. They were ready for the fight. They've been preparing all this time while everybody else was celebrating a bunch of bullshit and thinking that they were invincible. Man, they were preparing to fight them. Yeah. On its 250th birthday, Babylon must leave behind the illusion of primacy. Yeah, because guess what though? They're a failure. And their leader has failed them. The failed war against Iran presents costly proof that global dominance was always beyond DC's grasp. In other words, they weren't the global dominant as they claimed to be. On the 4th of July, the U.S. turned 250. The event that summoned founders who spoke of a republic seeking a decent respect to the opinions of mankind. Yet the story that matters most of our own moment does not begin in 1776, but began 35 years ago with the collapse of the Soviet Union. The moment the U.S. mistook the disappearance of its main rival for a mandate to remake the world. Yeah, it said that I will bring thee back with hooks into thy jaws, right? Bring thee forward. In other words, well, they thought that the Iron Curtain was gone and that, the Soviet Union is no more and we're the fucking greatest. Guess what? Most High has restored Russia and brought it back. Some governments went further into entering what became in effect a strategic alliance with the U.S. and Israeli state. The old assumption that one should always back the strongest side. The myth of the indispensable protector became the organizing principle of the Arab region's diplomacy. The Iran War demolished that myth. On the 28th of February, the U.S. and Israeli state attacked Iran, assassinating the supreme leader and many senior officials, all in brazen defense of the UN Charter and with declared aim of regime change. But they failed miserably, just as Colonel McGregor went in. After months of U.S. and Israeli bombardment, billions of dollars wasted, thousands of lives squandered, and a region set aflame from Lebanon to the Gulf, D.C. settled not for the regime change that it had promised, but for a fragile and repeatedly broken truce. The only choice left for the U.S. is whether to accommodate a world it can still help to shape but no longer command, or to spend its remaining strength resisting the irreversible. So basically, the American empire, it's over. They're not the global dominant empire they pretended to be. And that's more than obvious. And like everything else though, Esau's days are determined, as this brother goes into. GMS all precepts, which I'm not going to play the whole hour, obviously, but I'm going to play at least the first 20 minutes of this or so, So, there's a whole lot more that was in the chump's speech, and it's hilarious. And you got to have a laugh at this because America is not invincible as he claims it is, but he gives you the delusion. Don't get into that Fox News delusion, because guess what, though? These people are fucking retarded, and Trump is the biggest retard of them all, man. You believe anything he says? Well, stupid is as stupid does, like the old movie Forrest Gump said, stupid is as stupid does. You're fucking stupid, you're a fucking retard, and guess what? They're going to kick the shit out of you. And guess what? Your dick has already been knocked in the dirt. They blew up everything. You have nothing there in West Asia. You are no longer the threat you think you are. The only thing left is the nuclear option. And that's the Third World War that cometh quickly.
All right, Shalom. I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham Rakat Kodash. Give honors to the apostles and elders, the great millstone who taught me this truth. Shalom to the hopeful elect. I'm back with another quick lesson through the Holy Spirit of the Rakat Kodash. And like the Lord said, can you not discern the signs of the times? Right? It's the book of Job 14:5, and it reads, it says, seeing his days are determined, the number of his months are with thee. Thou hast appointed his bounds that he cannot pass. Okay? And Babylon the Great, America, has reached its limited rulership. All right? We're all watching for that time. We're in that window of destruction, something major happening. And like I said, we're going to keep our eyes glued to prophecy, right? Job 14:5. NLT, it says, you have decided the length of our lives. You know how many months we will live, and we are not giving them any longer. All right? So, again, This whole anniversary of America is a major deal, you know, and a lot of things are happening in this time. Okay, I saw this earlier here. It says New York City sky glows red, blood red during 250th anniversary celebration. All right, so a lot of things are happening. The Lord is giving us those cues, those omens, if you will, the signs of the times that let us know that this shit is almost over. You know, this thing is almost out of there. Right? Make a point on that too. Right, Matthew 16. Okay, Matthew 16:1, and it reads, it says, the Pharisees also with the Sadducees came, and tempting, desiring him that he should show them a sign from heaven. He answered and said unto them, when it is evening, ye say it will be fair weather, for the sky is red. Right? And in the morning it will be foul weather today, for the sky is red and lowering. O you hypocrites, you can discern the face of the sky, but you cannot discern the signs of the times. Right? A wicked and adulterous generation seeketh after a sign, and there should be no sign given unto it, but the sign of the prophet Jonas. And he left them and departed. So the sign is really the prophets, man, that are standing up and give you the warning of the pending doom that's getting ready to fall upon America, man. All right? The destruction that awaits at the door. That's the sign. And we are to measure the time diligently in itself. Okay? Understanding that these things are getting closer and closer every day. Right? Let me get that real quick. 2nd Ezra, chapter 9. Real quick. 2nd Ezra 9:1, and it reads. It says, he answered me then and said, measure thou the time diligently in itself, and when thou seest part of the signs pass, which I have told thee before, then shalt thou understand that it is the very same time wherein the highest will begin to visit the world which he made, and we're in that time. Okay? We're measuring the times with the scriptures, man. All the world events that are taking place, all right, we're able to go back to the scriptures and look it up, you know, and confirm what Yahweh Shemel Shah warned us of, all right, what he told us about. Okay? Which validates the word of Yahweh Shemel Shah. That's how we know that the word of the Lord is faithful and true. Verse 3. Therefore, when there should be seen earthquakes in upwards of the people in the world, and we've been seeing major earthquakes all around the world. You just had that major earthquake in Venezuela. All right, not too long ago, you had those major earthquakes in the Philippines. Really all over the world, man. Okay, people are dying. The cities are being, torn down. Okay, there's a lot going on globally, right? Therefore, when there should be seen earthquakes and upwards of the people in the world, and people are standing up, uproars, okay, seditions, revolutions, people are coming against the systems in the particular countries, you know, they're going against the governments, okay, you got all types of protests worldwide, man, all right? Verse 4, then shalt thou well understand that the Most High spake of those days, I'm sorry, let me read it again, then shalt thou well understand that the Most High spake of those things from the days that were before thee, even from the beginning, right? For like all that is made in the world had a beginning and an end, and the end is manifest. Okay, clearly. Okay, the end is manifest. It's right in front of us right now, man. Okay, so let's get into this thing, man. Okay, the doom and gloom. All right, woes and destruction are soon to follow. Right. So this is from the WLT report. It says, watch President Trump delivers epic historical speech on America's 250th birthday. All right. Let's just play some quick clips here. See what we got.
From the beginning, we were a nation that lived by the motto, victory or death, and live free or die. 1 out of every 100 Americans gave their lives in the fight for independence to remind us of who these heroes were and what they gave us. We are honored to have here tonight in the heart of our nation's capital one of the very first American flags ever to exist. Dating back to 1777, it bears the 13 stars and 13 stripes of the 13 states that declared independence on the 4th of July. There it is. This was the flag that flew victorious at Saratoga. And these are the real deals, too. These are the real flags. These are flags that have seen a lot. These were the stars and stripes that flew triumphant when the British waved the white flag of surrender at Yorktown. That was a big surrender. Nobody thought that was possible. They were the greatest power of the world, and they surrendered, and that was the beginning. Ever since, the entire world has been on notice that Americans will never let anyone take our freedom away. It won't happen. And all these talks from the communists, they haven't got a chance. Not even a chance. We don't want communists in our country.
Let's see what else we got. Quick video clips, right?
This country is the home of freedom. This is the land of liberty. And this is a flag that's the banner of the most extraordinary, most exceptional, most incredible nation ever to exist on the face of the earth. And we're doing better now than we've ever done before. No people have done more good, shown more courage, made more progress, righted more injustice, or achieved more greatness than you, the American people. For 250 years, the United States of America has been the hope, the promise, the light, and the glory among all of the nations of the world. All over the world, they try and be like us. Nobody can be like us, and with God's help, we will always be this or even better. We're going to be better. Here on our National Mall, we're celebrating freedom's triumph over tyranny, liberty's conquest over oppression, and the enduring victory of the American spirit from the July 4th, 1776 to July 4th, 2026. Big dates. That's big dates. Two big ones. And tonight our country is stronger, freer, richer, safer, and prouder than ever before.
Yup, prouder than ever before. Scripture say the most proud shall stumble and fall. These, like you said, these are big dates, right? They hold heavy significance, man. Okay, but like you said, this is the most, this is the most wicked empire in the world. All right, that's going to be wiped off from the face of the earth. Let's add that in there. All this pride is going to lead to destruction, man. All right, Amos 9. Right, Amos 9 and verse 8, and it reads, "Behold, the eyes of the Lord power, Yahweh Shem Shai, are upon the sinful kingdom." All right, and we're applying this to Babylon, the great America. This is the most wicked kingdom on the face of the earth. All right, behold, the eyes of the Lord power are upon the sinful kingdom, and I will destroy it from off the face of the earth. Right, that's what's about to happen. Saving that I will not utterly destroy the house of Jacob, save the Lord, Yahweh Shem Shai. Right, let me get that in Jeremiah 50. Okay, when he said we're back, we're more prouder. Can I play that again? Right.
And the enduring victory of the American spirit from the July 4th, 1776 to July 4th, 2026. Big dates. That's big dates. Two big ones. And tonight our country is stronger, freer, richer, safer, and prouder than ever before.
Yep, prouder than ever before. All right, right before the destruction. Right, look how beautiful that's playing out. Right. Let's go back to Jeremiah. Right, Jeremiah 50. Let's add on to that. Okay, Jeremiah 50 and verse, so the most proud shall fall. Right, this is Jeremiah 30. Jeremiah 50, and let's start at 28 and read down. Okay, Jeremiah 50 and 28, and it reads, "This is the voice of them that flee and escape out of the land of Babylon, to declare in Zion the vengeance of the Lord, Yahweh Shem Shai, our power, the vengeance of His temple." All right, the Lord He's going to redeem and avenge His people, the saints of the Most High, the Israelites, okay, for what Babylon did to them. Verse 29, "Call together the archers against Babylon, all ye that bend the bow. Camp against it round about, let none thereof escape. Recompense her according to her work, according to all that she hath done." See? "Do unto her, for she hath been proud against the Lord, Yahweh Shem Shai, against the Holy One of Israel." Right? Scripture say, reward Babylon double. All right? Revelation 18. Let's add on to that real quick. This is Revelation 18 and 5. And it reads, it says, "For her sins have reached unto heaven, and Yahweh Shem Shai have remembered her iniquities." Right? The Lord hasn't forgotten anything. All right? From the time of the inception of Babylon the Great America to this point now. Okay? All the bloodshed, the murder, the robbery, the genocide, okay? The broken treaties, the lies, everything, man. Yahweh Shem Shai require which is past. Verse 6, "Reward her even as she rewarded you." Right? "And double unto her double according to her works, in the cup which she hath filled to her double." All right, Babylon is going to be double rewarded. Okay. Verse 7, "How much she hath glorified herself and lived deliciously. So much torment and sorrow give her, for she saith in her heart, I sit a queen and am no widow, and shall see no sorrow." And that's the spirit that's being pushed. All right, that this place will never see adversity, but we're at the door of destruction. All right, whether you can see it or not, whether you believe it or not, doesn't matter. All right, the will of the Lord will be done. Right, back to Jeremiah 50. And 30, "Therefore shall her young men fall in the streets, all her men of war shall be cut off in that day, saith the Lord, Yahweh Shem Shai." And as we were talking about at the end of this year, all right, they're talking about that draft is coming. Right? So a lot of these soldiers that are going to be sent, to the so-called Middle East,
they ain't
okay,
coming
for this
back.
Final World War III. This is the last time they're going to be seen. Okay?
Yep.
Verse 31.
Permanent
"Behold,
vacation.
I am against thee, O thou most proud." What did Trump say? We're back. We're more richer, more proud. "O thou most proud, saith the Lord, power of hosts. For thy day is come, the time that I will visit thee." Right? For thy day is come. Right? For thy day is come, the time that I will visit thee. Right? America is at death's door. Okay? The time of judgment, the judgment of Yahweh Shem Shai. Right? "Behold, I am against thee, O thou most proud, saith the Lord, power of hosts. For thy day is come, the time that I will visit thee. and the most proud shall stumble and fall, and none shall raise him up. I will kindle a fire in his cities, and it shall devour all round about him. And that's that nuclear destruction that the Lord has reserved for this place. All right, NLT, a land of arrogance. Right, America is a land of arrogance. You will stumble and fall, and no one will raise you up. Right, this is what they're doing with these celebrations and these talks of making America great again. Okay, it's all lies. And no one will raise you up, for I will light a fire in the cities of Babylon that will burn up everything around them. Whew, man, let's get ready to go.
Yep. Just stick a fork in their ass and turn them over. They're done. America's done for. It's over. And Kim Iverson was going into that as well. But nonetheless, though, his days are determined. You can catch the rest of the brother's video. Like I said, that's a whole hour video anyways. But got a few articles to read and one more video before I close this out, man. But man, you know, you can see, though, that while Babylon the Great is celebrating, I don't know what for. They lost the war. They lost everything. But it's been a week of mourning for, you know, the West Asia, because, of course, he was killed. You know, Ayatollah Khomeini was killed, but he had effects on a lot of people. But guess what? This only united them, and they want revenge. Khalif vows those behind Ayatollah Khomeini's assassination will be punished. And Babylon is being punished big time, because guess what, though? The oil is only getting to countries loyal to Iran, and, you know, like everything else, so they can set their own prices and make money off of Babylon. You know, it's a shit pickle. America didn't win anything. They got their asses whooped. Iranian Parliament Speaker Khalif says the perpetrators behind the assassination of the leader of the Islamic Revolution, Ayatollah Khomeini, would ultimately be punished, stressing that his martyrdom has strengthened public resolve. Their resolve is to see America destroyed once and for all. The people who have served as the driving force and steadfast supporters of their revolution for the past 47 years have over the past 4 months chanted death to Babylon and death to the Israeli state every night, expressing their hatred and their revulsion toward those who martyred our leader and demanding revenge, he stressed. Khalif also vowed that those responsible for the attacks against Iran and for the martyrdom of the leader, high-ranking officials, and thousands of innocent people would face punishment. He further stressed that the final step of vengeance would be achieved through the liberation of the Holy Al-Quds from the shackles of the Zionist regime. And that's where you get into Ezekiel chapter 38, when Russia, along with everyone else, goes in and they wipe out the Zionists. And through that, as they're wiping out the Zionists, Yahweh Shai and the angels show up, because guess what? Nuclear war also takes off. Because Israeli state, when they're surrounded like that, you already know about the Samson option. Not to mention everything's AI and will take off like Skynet. They'll just push the button and Skynet, aka AI, will take over and launch all the systems. That's what that whole Samson option is all about. You know, triggering World War III, to where it's already computer locked, and these missiles are sharp and will not miss. And the scriptures back that. So you see that we're there. We're already there. It's just a matter of time. But the MOTB has to be mandated through this. So yeah, there'll be some calm before the storm, but it's not a lot of calm. A lot of shit is about to take place, you know, especially civil unrest. Yeah, when you ain't able to get anything and everything's out. They can't stand Trump already right now. It just made to look like. But guess what? They really can't stand him. You know. There will be blood. Millions mourn Khomeini, demand vengeance during his historic funeral procession. Top officials were seen at the procession, including the IRGC Quds Force chief and Iran's president and foreign minister. So, you know, they just... Look at how big that city is filled. And people are traveling internationally just to get there, too. And don't forget, they also had one in Iraq, too. I can't get it to play. Slovakia. Okay, wait. Yeah, I can.
من از فراز آسمان تهران برای شما گزارش میکنم آنچه که از این بالا میتوان مشاهده کرد حضور
So you see, look at those streets, man, just totally filled. They had to pay people just to show up for the 4th of July. I mean, just look at that. 4th of July was a joke. People weren't showing up for that event. They had to be paid just to go there. These people paid out of their own pocket to be there. Guess what? People don't feel that way about America. They're tired of it. They're tired of Donald Trump, you know? But Fox News is going to paint you a different picture, right? Only a retard would believe what's on Fox News. Martyred leader funeral. And the people that watch Fox News are nothing but parrots. They're the same fucking parrots and retards. They sound just like Donald Trump. You can't tell the difference between these fucking people and Donald Trump. They sound just like him. What a retard. You can't even be your own fucking leader. You know? You can't even be a fucking leader. You have to have a retard to fucking lead you because you're so fucking stupid. You know, stupid is as stupid does, like Forrest Gump. Martyred leader funeral in Iraq will show solidarity between the two nations. This is coming from a senior cleric because like everything else though, unlike the 8-year war that was waged against Iran through Iraq, the people have united, and guess what? The U.S. still couldn't fucking get in there. Even after they invaded and overthrew Saddam Hussein and killed him, they still could not stop what had already begun. Iran and Iraq have been in solidarity. They've been solidified. They are together as one. Senior Iraqi cleric Aman Halkakan says the planned funeral processions for the martyred leader of the Islamic Revolution, Saeed al-Khamenei, in Iraq would represent a public expression of solidarity between Iraq and Iranian nation. In an interview with Lebanon's Al Maidan network on Monday, Haskan also heads Iraq's National Movement political coalition, said the processions would allow Iraqis to demonstrate their support for the people of Iran, their suffering, and their martyred leader. Because like everything else though, you know, Saddam Hussein, he got caught in the trap, okay? But most Iraqis actually were more lenient towards Iran because they seen them as a strategic partner. Not to mention, a lot of Iraqis really didn't want this war, but the U.S. kept on funding Saddam Hussein and the Republican Guard to go against them. A lot of them didn't even want that war to begin with. But, you know, that's what the U.S. and Israeli state, the Zionists, do. And they want America out of fucking Iraq. They're fucking tired of America in Iraq. Trump threatens to destroy Iran's bridges and energy infrastructure if no deal is reached. So, back to his rhetoric again. On Monday, President Trump renewed his threats against Iran, saying that if a deal isn't reached, the U.S. will finish the job and target more Iranian bridges and energy infrastructure. We're either going to make the deal or we're going to finish the job. Okay, and I want to be tough to finish the job. You ain't tough, you're a fucking weakling, and you're a pedophile. Everybody knows you're a fucking pedophile, and you're just as weak as King Bibi, just trying to escape judgment. Because like everything else, though, you've been found out. You're a child molester, and your whole family are nothing but child molesters and Amalekites, and the people are sick of you. I'd rather make a deal because I want to affect 91 million people, Trump told reporters in the Oval Office, according to Reuters. We can knock down the bridges in 1 hour. We can knock out their energy infrastructure. They don't have any money now. We haven't given them any money. Trump's comments come as massive number of Iranians filled the streets of Tehran to attend a procession that was part of the funeral for Iranian Supreme Leader Ayatollah Khamenei, who was killed along with several family members by the U.S.-Israeli attack on the 28th of February, the first day of the bombing campaign, which included a girls' school. But he said that we did it for fun, showing you who the real bully is. But like everything else, though, that bully is definitely being challenged, because who controls the strait? Tehran warns no final deal if U.S. threats continue. The warning comes after Trump threatened to finish the job and knock out bridges and energy sites across Iran. They already responded to it. Iran Foreign Minister Agashi warned on the 7th of July there will be no final deal with D.C. if President Trump and his government continues threatening the Islamic Republic. Agashi pointed to a clause in the U.S.-Iran Memorandum of Understanding which prohibits the use of threat or force, particularly during ongoing technical negotiations. Millions of Iranians rallied in unity to honor Grand Ayatollah Khamenei and his legacy. Neither them nor our brave armed forces are moved by any threats, the foreign minister said on Tuesday, coinciding with the continuation of the late Supreme Leader's 4-day funeral. So like everything else, we know we're past that, but this is just an article that's there. And you can see the gathering there, and I already showed videos, but like everything else, though, America, Babylon the Great, yeah, you can believe Fox News if you're a retard, but most of the majority of these Babylonians don't believe everything that's on Fox News. In fact, most hate them. Go ahead and turn on The View. I mean, I don't really endorse that show, but I do say this much, though, that more people lean towards that. They lean towards the Democratic Party, under the illusion of the Democrat-Republican Party, the liberals versus the conservatives. It's a huge mess, but at the same time, though, they really look at that Trump, and they really have shameful spewing for Trump. They fucking hate him, as they should. Trump is a liar. We know that Biden was too, and we know that Obama was, but Trump happens to be, when it comes to lies, there's bullshit and there's Trump shit, as Joe Salanti said. Qatari NLG tanker hit by Iranian missile in Hormuz choke point. Like everything else, though, those that thought that they would just cut through and not get there, guess what? Iran still has the full capacity, and nobody else can get through. A fully loaded Qatari LNG tanker was struck by a projectile near the Omani coast while exiting the strait, raising fresh concerns that disruptions across key energy maritime choke point could persist longer than traders expected. So, like everything else, though, they have no control. There's no sneaking past it. They have to abide by what Iran says, because Iran does have the stronghold there. But, he'll tell you that they're winning the war and that, we'll blow them to oblivion. We'll wipe them off the face of the map. You hear that over and over again. Israeli state is practicing settlement on 4 fronts. The IDF continues occupying Lebanon and Syria while terrorists build settlements in all but name in Cyprus. Israeli Prime Minister just approved more than a dozen new Zionist settlements in West Bank. But the latest wave of expansion is just the beginning, as different factions within the Israeli state want to push its borders further into Lebanon, Syria, and beyond. In early July, King Bibi approved plans to establish 13 new Zionist settlements in the occupied West Bank. The settlements will be constructed along the main north-south road linking the Palestinian cities of Nablus, Ramallah, and Bethlehem, which is already dotted with dozens of terrorist outposts. The majority of those were illegally constructed then retroactively legalized by the Israeli government over the last 2 decades. So like everything else though, they continue to occupy. Here's more. Fox News, to make you think that, everything's great, praise Israeli state, praise Trump, etc.
We have some of you. Cyber expertise. Israel is the number 2 country in cyber in the world, and our technology is absurd. It's so good. So the relations are not quite.
Yeah, they're the greatest.
As they appear, and we have
your ass is whipped.
We have many friends, and I have to tell you, we also take care of our friends, especially the Christians in the Middle East. Christian villages in Lebanon.
You're killing more than any ISIS. Oh wait, you control ISIS, right?
Against the Hezbollah.
What a liar!
Fanatics who want to kill them, and we do the same things with Christians everywhere.
Hezbollah preserves them.
You're touching on my next.
So like everything else, there's King Bibi on Fox News that paint him as he's sparing Christian villages, etc. Even though he's been killing them, right? So here's more. Yep, a peaceful transition, a transitional government. Yep, they're protecting Christians, all right. Those are IDF soldiers in Syria. Just to, show you a little glimpse of it, right? What to expect from Trump's meetings with Erdogan and al-Jilani in Ankara. U.S. President Trump praised both leaders for their strength and charm. Yeah, in other words, he sucked up to him. U.S. President Trump headed to Turkey for the annual NATO summit on Tuesday, where he was expected to kick off his trip with a meeting with his Turkish counterpart, Recep Erdogan, and cap off the summit with a sit-down with Syrian President al-Jilani on Wednesday. Building on his personal relationship, especially with his predecessor, Biden, may have failed, is what Trump does next. Okay, so he claims to be greater than Biden. This is where it gets hilarious, right? Trump praised Erdogan and al-Jilani while berating most of the European leaders attending this week's summit. U.S. President had made no secret of his admiration for regional leaders, calling Erdogan strong and al-Jilani tough. He also warmly credited the Turkish president and al-Jilani's rise to power after Bashar al-Assad was taken out in December 2024. So like everything else, so he did some puckering up. He wants something. Trump will find an increasingly willing actor on part of Turkey to pursue a more aligned policy with the U.S. in the broader Middle East. Okay, there we go, that's why. So he sucked up to Erdogan, but Erdogan's eventually going to join with the Russians. Turkey was banned from the F-35 program in 2019 and sanctioned for its acquisition of the S-400 defense system for Russia, which that was Trump. Trump was still president in 2019. So, the Turks said it was because the Americans refused to supply them with U.S. defense infrastructure, but they do maintain friendly ties with Moscow despite being part of the NATO alliance. You see, and like everything else, though, they're going to come against the Zionists because the Zionists are already after them. They know about that. And that's why they keep on threatening Turkey to invade Turkey, saying Turkey is next after Iran. King Bibi urges Trump to block Turkish access to F-35 jets and fighter engines. Yep, it's like in 2019, right? So it was reiterated once again by King Bibi because, that's his master. There's your father. That's your master. Suck his dick. Israeli Prime Minister urged U.S. President Trump not to approve the sale of advanced American military equipment. They don't last to the Su-35s, by the way. Arguing that providing Ankara with F-35 jets or engines for its indigenous fighter would alter the regional balance of power, meaning that the Israeli state wouldn't be able to counter it, right? Because the Israeli state totally relies on the F-35, and if Turkey has it, they can't really do much, right? Issue comes after Trump's visit to Turkey from the NATO leaders summit in Ankara. where he was expected to meet, which this has already happened. Turkish President Erdogan, among the topics expected to be discussed are a reported $700 million agreement for the sale of F-110 fighter jet engines manufactured by General Electric and the possibility of Turkey's return to the F-35 program. You know, so you say, nope, don't do it. You know, I tell you what to do. I'm your father. Turkey is a wonderful country, but it's led by someone who openly calls the destruction of the Israeli state named Erdogan, King Baby says. Oh, yeah. Well, pretty much, you know, trying to knock out its influence there, which is to pretty much submit everything, which Trump is 1,000% with Israeli state. He said in his own terms, I support Israeli state 1,000%. So, that's because he is one. Double tap bombing rips through Damascus near French President Macron's hotel, and that happened earlier this week. You know, that the President of France actually went into Damascus lately. Major explosions ripped through an area in the Syrian capital near the hotel where French President Emmanuel Macron had been staying. During the official visit of the French leader to al-Nusra Front founder and now self-appointed Syrian President al-Jalani, Macron said to be safe after talks with al-Jalani at the presidential palace. But at least 18 people were injured while explosive devices went off. An attack that was captured on video from various angles, and you bet the Israeli state was behind it. It appeared a double-tap explosion, leading some pundits to speculate that it could have been a drone attack. It happened near the Ministry of Tourism in central Damascus, home to some high-end hotels as well as government buildings. So, like everything else, though, well, we can play some of this. They do have some of it. So this is where Macron... Well, I got most of the ground here for this camera file. That's not very good. What, I get 1 second here. But I can understand if you're running and why you got the ground. Either way, you got a second. That's how fast a bombing is, by the way, so within seconds. So I can understand why there's the ground there. Syrian explosion caught on camera during French President Macron visit. 18 people injured, including 4 police officers. Macron still in Syria. So I wouldn't put it past the, because we know that the Israeli state controls everything. At least when it comes to those that they believe that they own. And I got one more video here before I close this out. But like everything else, though, Edom is soon to become a myth. As in its destruction is coming one day and 1 hour. And like everything else, though, you can see that after 250 years, the so-called 250-year celebration, well, you just may as well go ahead and get that in Jeremiah chapter 50, which was in previous video, and verse 30, right? Because here it is, though, that they're going to be brought down. And this is also in Jeremiah chapter 49. So, got to make mention of the king of Babylon, Donald Trump, right? Because he's the one that's so proud. But everybody who's in the know knows that he's a loser and that he's really humiliated those doing the fighting, man. He really humiliated everyone there, man, because he didn't get anything done. And they are embarrassed. They're embarrassed with him as a leader because he's a retard. Jeremiah chapter 50, verse 32. The arrogant, proud one will stumble and fall. Which is Esau, Edom, and it can be sent around Trump too. With no one to raise him up. And I will set fire to the cities, and it will devour all those who are around him. Ultimately when the nuclear destruction comes. Thus saith the Lord of hosts, the children of Israel are oppressed, and the children of Yehoiada as well. And all who took them captive have held them tightly. They have refused to let them go. Just like in the ancient days of Egypt, this oppressor, Esau, still refuses to let us go. That's why you see, they call it justice, but you see nothing but just us Israelites in these prisons, right? Richard Pryor put in one of his jokes, which he wasn't joking. Yeah, they call it justice, but it's just us niggers in there, man. And that's just it, though. You see, you get falsely accused, and you can't prove your innocence because you're guilty before being proved innocent, and guess what? You almost never get proved innocent. And by the time you do, you've already spent a good 15 to 20 years. Yeah. Yeah, that's how the so-called justice system is. So like everything else, though, Yahweh and Yahweh Shai haven't forgotten it, and he's been smiting this place. And like everything else, though, ultimately it's broken down economically, and eventually, like everything else, though, the Lord of Hosts, these missiles are going to come down. Behold, I am against you, O Babylon, you arrogant one. You are the pride of presumption personified. For the day has come, that the time that I will punish you. Verse 50, verse 3, which is reiterated in Jeremiah 49 as well. Therefore our young men will fall in the streets, and all our soldiers will be destroyed in that day, saith the Lord Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. Ultimately, nuclear destruction is coming. And this place will become a lake of fire. And those that take the MOTB, which is going to come out of this, which is a mandatory implant, to pretty much make your desolation desolate with them, right? As his days are determined. And guess what? You take the MOTB, you are marked with him. That's why they call it the MOTB. So like everything else, though, we say this time and time again. Esau is not your friend. He is your enemy. You have enemies, Jacob. So we're going to play this video for a little bit and close this out. Then we'll say Barak the Yahweh, Barak the Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Rakakadash, Wa Ba Babal. Brakathum, Jehovah Elect.
Alright, Shalom, Kahal La, Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakah, Kodash, Double honor to Apostle Elzebari Millstone, Shalom to Hopeful Elect. This is a call from GMS Cleveland Care with a little edifying lesson. One of the hot topics of the week: Mississippi teen gone missing after hanging with friends on Ocean Island. His friends, quote unquote, his friends don't remember anything. Alright, so this Jake, I was an Israelite hanging with Edomites, went open with them alone on a boat, went missing. Hey, Slocky, man, fucking cat. I'm like, again, went missing. They have his phone. Play another clip. They have his phone. They claim not to know what happened to him. We know what happened to him. They murdered him. All right. And this is what Jake is. I don't feel no type of way about this. At the end of the day, Esau Edom, he's just adding to his tab that he would have to pay in the kingdom. Okay. Esau Edom, he has shed the blood of the saints of the Israelites by the hundreds of millions, literally, since from the serpent to Cain to Esau to now. All right. At this point, Esau, he's just adding sprinkles onto his dessert, so to speak. Okay. That dessert, I'm using that representation to talk about the cup she had filled to her double. All right. He's just adding more pain to his sentence, man. All right, he's just proving himself to be a double more. But nevertheless, he's already done. He's already condemned. His world over with. But you, Jake, I don't feel bad for this nigga. And this be the same type of Jake who will come past the camp or come in video and do a response on TikTok talking about how the Hebrew Israelites are stupid and they're dumb, and I have good so-called white friends that they love me and we're all cool. I take pictures of them doing vacation together and shit like that, and they fucking murdered you. So let's go play this clip, man.
Boys who were on the trip with Nolan deactivated their social media accounts before his body was found. All of them. They all deactivated their social media accounts before his body was found. They couldn't remember. They didn't remember anything. They don't know where he went. They had his phone, but I don't remember. I don't know. He just didn't come back with us. But they all just deactivated their social media accounts. Yeah, don't play in my fucking face.
Yeah, exactly. Because they all fucking deactivated their social media accounts. They knew the backlash they were going to get, man. All right, but the spirit, he got one of his dudes following 1,441, man. Lord won't by that number. Look at Mike. So it's a classic case of Jake trusting their enemy. This is Sirach 12:10. Never trust thy enemy, for like his iron rusteth, so is his wickedness, man. Okay, so who are our enemies? Go to Scripture. Psalm 83 is going to tell you. Psalm 83, man. So I don't feel no type of way about this shit. The Lord judging. I said this would be the same type of nigga that would come on either a comment board, make a video scoffing, or walk past the camp and come up and want to talk about how Esau can be saved, man. Because Esau Edom, he's not the so-proclaimed so-called white man. His biblical nationality, Esau Edom, he's our enemy, man. And the Israelites, you're gonna be forced to accept that. Okay, very soon, man. Esau shows his horns more and more. As we get into the time of Jacob's trouble, when Esau is going to come down having great wrath, because he knows he has for a short time, all right? And Jake's going to be forced to be acknowledged. This is your enemy, man. Jake worships Esau, even they love his wicked world he's got done. And this type of nigga, he just got done celebrating 4th of July. Probably had some American flag swimming trunks with his Edomite buddies, all right? And they murked you, dude, all right? And before they did, they told you to express their hatred for you, all right? They told you exactly how they really feel about you, all right? Psalm 83:1, a song or psalm of Asaph, keep not thou silence, O power, hold not thy peace, and be not still, O power. For lo, thy enemies make a tumult, and they that hate thee have lifted up the head. Right? These heathen nations, they hate our power. They hate the God of Israel, and they hate the Israelites. You so-called blacks, teal, Native Americans, you are the Israelites. The prophets out here telling you, warning you, telling you that enemies, man. You shouldn't be hanging with these fucking Edomites. This should never be taking place, man. This is bullshit. What the fuck? What are you doing, man? You will never catch brothers in the true fucking posted up with fucking Edom. What the fuck? You got you around some Edomite men acting like y'all all buddies, man. Look at this shit. You hanging with your enemy that hates you, man. All right? It says, they have taken Psalm 83:3. They have taken crafty counsel against thy people and consulted against thy hidden ones. Right? We're the hidden ones because in Esau's rulership, he's hidden, which is all part of prophecy. The Lord allowed it to happen. The Lord wanted it to happen. Like I said, it's part of the story. But the Lord allowed Esau, Edom to hide who we really are. You know, the whole world as a whole, especially here in Babylon, great. They don't acknowledge us as Israelites. They got all these fucking fake identities and shit, man. Like I said, Black, Latino, Native American. And of course, you get more specific. They call it Afro-Caribbean, fucking Puerto Rican, Mexican. All right, all these different made-up bullshit, man. All right, we're the Israelites, man. We're the 12 tribes. All right, they're taking crafty counsel against us. Okay, the Lord's people and consulting against the Lord's hidden ones, man. And we're the hidden ones, man. All right, but again, Yahweh Shemel Shai, that's why there's a prophet out here. He's raising up the house of David as in the days of old, like he promised. Okay, we're staying in great boldness and we're telling the devil off to his face, man. We're also condemning you 2/3 niggas, man. We really are already condemned. Like Yahweh Shai said, he said he came not to condemn the world. We paraphrase because the world's already condemned, man. Look, man, you already condemned. All right? But through Yahweh Shai, we have no pardon of sins. Through Yahweh Shai, we're going to be reconciled unto the Heavenly Father, Yahweh, Lord willing, man. Okay? Well, it's going to happen for the elect, but Lord willing, part of the elect. Okay? Right now, we're part of the hopeful elect. Okay? Because we're hoping to be part of that number, but Yahweh Shemel Shai clearly raising up his people again. Ezekiel 37 chapter, man. Revelation 11. The Lord is raising up his people in the sight of the heathen, and the Lord is going to deliver us in their sight, man. Okay? But again, the majority of our people, they don't do fuck. They want to stay here. They want to continue to be an African-American Negro in America, man. And when they want to be buddy-buddy with the so-called white man and put things, everything's in the past, man. But again, the Lord's not dealing with that. The Lord is going to accomplish all the prophecies that he has written in his book, okay, that he has a prophet out here speaking from the days of old to now and breaking down, okay? And we're going to, again, Yahweh Shai is going to come back, destroy these devils, and all you jakes that are joined with them, like you're talking about Isaiah, was it the 13th chapter? Everyone that is joined with them shall be slain with the sword, if you paraphrase it, all right? All you Israelites who want to, Israelite man, woman, and child who want to join with America, be in the spirit, like I said, you just got done celebrating 4th of July, Lord going to slay all you, man. Verse 4, they have said, come and let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance, right? That's why they push all these psychological operations, man. They constantly take the lowest of the low of us. They go out of their way to find the most degenerate piece of shit Israelite, and then they put a fucking camera and a microphone in front of their face and give them millions of dollars to influence the rest of us. So you got it's upside down. You got the least, the worst, the scumbags of Israel influencing Israel, okay? That's what you saw do, like the elder Gabari Howard, why he did FI lesson I watched yesterday, going into that, about the different influence, you know, these rap artists, these athletes, etc. Okay, these rappers, he's going to the female rappers, etc. They all these bitches singing this, with my scamming ass, niggas ass, spending money fast, that song, like literally again, using the worst scumbags of Israel, the Sexy Red, the Cardi B's, the Nicki Minaj's, all right, the fucking Lil Wayne's, the, who's the more degenerate, NBA Youngboy, all these fucking degenerate piece of shit niggas, King Von, to influence Jake. So again, it's upside down. You have the absolute, the degenerate worst of Jake to influence the rest of them, man. So you understand why people are so bugged out. But again, that's part of Esau's crafty counsel to cut us off from being a nation. But even through all that, we're still here standing on our feet in our right mind, man. All right, and we're fighting, okay, to come back to righteousness. And we're crying out to the Lord, and the Lord's going to hear. The Lord is hearing that cry. He's going to act, man. All right. Verse 5, for they have consulted together with one consent. They are confederate against thee. So again, them being against the Lord's people, it means they're against the Lord. They hate the God of Israel and they hate the Israelites. Okay? It's simple. You just like understand, you have an enemy. All these heathen nations are your enemy, man. None of them are our friends, man. All right? But very soon they will be our slaves. It said the tabernacles of Edom, Esau, Edom, the so-called white man, is named first, man. So literally, it's in the scriptures, in the Bible, man. Esau is the #1 enemy. And right after that is the Ishmaelites, man. These so-called Arabs. They're the #1 enemy. After that, Moab, so-called Chinese. All right? They're also scattered down, the Korean fucking Moabites. So these are the top 3 enemies, man. So again, you should know this. But again, you would know that if you listen to the prophets, man. But they don't want to fucking listen. So again, that's why the Lord's judgment is at hand, man. All right? Let me get that, let me find that. Hey, Jeremiah. 1 second. This is Jeremiah 2 and verse 33. It says, in the spirit, God brought up verse 32 in the lesson. But I'm going to go ahead and read it. Jeremiah 2 and 32. Can a maid forget her ornaments or a bride her attire? Yeah, my people have forgotten me days without number. Right? That's what they still doing. They still forgetting the Lord, man. They don't want to repent. They want to continue living in ignorance of the spirit. Here in Cleveland, we talk about that recently, that cipher spirit in the Matrix, man. They want to stay in that cipher spirit. I don't remember anything. They hear a little bit of truth about Esau, Edom in this world, and what the Lord really looks like, what his real motives are, the fact that we're the 12 tribes, and they don't want to remember anything. I know this thing isn't real, but it tastes so good. XYZ, man. You know? Verse 33, why trimmest thou thy way to seek love, Therefore has thou also taught the wicked ones thy ways, man. Right? And that's what he does, man. Trim their way to seek love, man. They diminish their godly superior spirit to try to appease these heathen, man. Try to Esau, Edom, especially Esau, he's threatened by Israelite men with confidence, man. All right, so they try to suppress their greatness to try to get around Esau and befriend him, man. All right, but guys, I'm not gonna make this long. Again, it's another instance of trusting the enemy. Don't know exactly gonna give his title, but trusting the enemy. Esau murdering you. Esau, they're not gonna be fucking persecuted for this shit. They're gonna get off scot free. They found no evidence. It was a criminal investigation. They found no evidence for it, man. So whatever. That's just a hot topic. But again, hey, we got hope, man. We know the Lord's coming back to save us very soon. We understand we're at the very end of Esau's world. He's done. He's finished. Okay, but you 2/3 niggas here in America, as well as the rebels scattered abroad, hey, you're finished with them, man. But very soon we're getting ready to get deliverance, man. The spirit I was watching earlier today. I was watching Independence Day again. Okay, I love that movie, man. Hey, how Shah's coming with the chariots of salvation, man. So call Loyam La, Yahweh Bashim, Yahweh Bashim, Kakadash. Devon, Sapos, Ellsbury, Millstone. Our captivity zone was over. Shalom, man. Shalom.